right. Please go ahead.
All yours.
Great. Welcome everybody to the SORTA Planning and Ops Committee meeting for May of 2021. We have fewer action items than last month, but oh my gosh, we have a lot of action to report on that happened this past month and coming up in the next few weeks. So I'm excited about talking about all those things. But before we get into any of that, let's have the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So I think the first item is to go over the minutes from the last committee meeting and approve them or make recommendations for changes if needed. I did have one thing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. I thought that every action item went to the consent agenda, and I noticed item 10, it says was recommended to the full board, but not on the consent agenda. Am I right about that? Or I know it's a very small thing, but I noticed it, so I feel like I should mention it.
Blake, you're right. It was actually number 11, so I will correct that.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Any other questions, comments? If not, I'll just go ahead and move to approve the minutes. Any seconds?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. All right. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed say right. Any abstentions? All right, I only heard ayes, so move forward with the approval of the minutes from last month. So, now we get to hear about the good news from John Ravasio, and I think we're all interested in hearing about this next slide a little bit more. So, John, please take it away.
Good morning, everyone. This might be the best good news report ever. Certainly, we had a day like no other to close out the month of April. As you might have heard, United States Vice President Kamala Harris visited Metro and visited Cincinnati, visited our region to hear about the great things that we are doing regarding public transit and infrastructure to invest in our region and ensure the vitality and the future prosperity of our region. Craig, Daryl, Operator Orlando King represented us all very well. We are so proud of how they represented our system, our city, our region. Daryl, anything to say about the experience?
It was extremely exciting, a little stressful, but I am proud of the organization and the leadership of this organization, the board, the leadership here. We're doing some really amazing things. They're holding up as what transit should be across the country. It is really exciting. It is a very exciting time here at Metro, and I'll just ask you guys to hang on because we've got some additional exciting things on the way. We're really going to do something very special in this region.
I almost don't want to move off the slide, just keep it right there, but there is a lot more to highlight. This morning, Senator Sherrod Brown, that same day, toured the Access facility, where he also held a press conference to talk about the upcoming federal investments in transportation and infrastructure. His office told us that the Senate 15 minutes. He keeps track of time like I do. That turned into about 1 hour and 15 minutes. He was very engaging with the employees, very interested in what we were doing, not only just as a system and serving the community, but those who rely on access. You see Curtis Gibson on the left there, Operator Orlando King in the background, all very engaging with the senator, talking about the passion that they bring to their work. So that was the conclusion to the day. Also on April 30, and next time maybe we'll send a memo out to these folks if they could spread this out a little bit so that it's not all on the same day. I had the pleasure of joining the Lunch with Your Legislators program, statewide Democrats, and was able to I had the pleasure of talking about the Reinventing Metro Plan, the transit and infrastructure development specific to our region here. And many thanks to state representatives Kelly, Ingram, Miranda, and Denson. They were very welcoming. We had a fantastic discussion. Thank you to Brandy and team as well for helping this go off without a hitch, keeping me straight in what we needed to say and message. A very, very enjoyable experience. And now I'd like to welcome Brandy to speak to how these highlights have been covered by the media in the month of April. Brandy.
Thanks, John. We thought it would be helpful. We talked about some of the exciting and great things that we're doing as an organization, and we've been getting on the national level as well as here in our own city. So here's a couple of the headlines we pulled out, including topics around the Transit Infrastructure Fund, the grants being open. We had coverage about our simplifying our fare structure, as well as the fact that we are offering free bus. So that's a very important role that Metro is playing in that effort. Also talking about our operator recruitment efforts. We had some coverage talking about our career fairs and the incredible benefits and perks it is to be a Metro operator, as well as the fact that we celebrated 500,000 rides on our new Easy Fare app that we're partnering with several other systems across the state and as well as Northern Kentucky and Michigan. We also celebrated Earth Day. You know, riding the bus is a significant impact on the environment, and it helps the community reduce their carbon dioxide footprint in the community. And so we certainly capitalized on the Earth Day coverage with that. We had some promotions, such as our Mike Weil, who is now our interim safety chief. That was covered in some of our trade publication. And then we concluded the month with the outstanding coverage of our vice president coming to Cincinnati. And that certainly received a great deal of fanfare that we were very, very proud of. So when we think about this coverage in the sense of what does it mean, who is it reaching, and we had more than 200 that's print, that's radio, that covered us during the month of April at a advertising value equivalency. So we say if we had to pay for that coverage, what would it have cost our organization? And so that was about $381,000 in value that we received in coverage during the month of April. And there was about 31 million views on this coverage. So we're really excited that we are generating a lot of exciting things to talk about and that the media finds it valuable to cover and share with our audience. You may have heard yesterday, Craig Cassee was featured on Cincinnati Edition, WVXU, talking about reinventing Metro and all the things that we're doing. And then Daryl will be featured on Business Wise this Thursday at 2:30. So that comes on FM 89.3. So if you have time to tune in, please do listen to him. And so we are already light speed ahead with the month of May, but we want to kind of share just a snapshot with you all for what took place during April. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy. Exciting and cool stuff, no doubt. You know what else is cool? Being a Metro driver. Check out these shots of Metro operators in their Monday and Friday t-shirts, encouraging members of the community join Metro, become a bus operator. And thanks again to Division Manager Daryl Smith for the idea and the transit ops team and everybody that had a hand in executing the t-shirt idea. I think it's certainly off to a very good start. We continue to build our transit operation. Yes.
Sorry, no. When I visited the Bond Hill site, down with 5 of the drivers, and I asked them to share with me their reasoning for becoming a Metro driver. And as you went around the table, they each had a different reason for joining. And I think that would be something great to capture as well. I mean, one of them said, where I worked at before didn't have a retirement plan. This one has a strong retirement plan. So, you know, they talked about the hours, they talked about the pay. So you may want to capture why they chose to work there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we can add some testimonials to our recruiting, no doubt. We continue to add to the transit operations team. Last month, we welcomed Todd Kiegler, new division manager at Queensgate. Todd is a 20-year transportation professional. He comes to us from COTA. He's done several things at COTA, including driving a bus himself, some instructor and supervisor roles as well. He has multiple safety and service-related certifications. So welcome, Todd, to the Metro team and the Queensgate division. We'd also be remiss if we neglected the behind-the-scenes efforts to improve our service and improve the customer experience. And these numbers here are a snapshot in terms of the returns that we get when we invest in our fleet, when we modernize our fleet, and how do we take care of that investment. What you see here are the highest numbers in Metro history in terms of service miles driven between mechanical failures on a bus. So if there's a mechanical issue on a bus and interrupts service, we've got to change a vehicle out. We actually track those service interruptions and then compare that to overall miles driven. You see the Queensgate numbers here, Bond Hill reaching more than 10,000 miles between service interruptions in the month of March. And in this calculation method that's been in place for about a decade, these are the highest numbers in Metro history. So thank you to the board for the continued investment in the fleet. Thank you to the fleet and facility team for taking care of that investment in our customers. And now I'd like to invite Adrian Hairston to discuss the March employee recognition winners. Adrian.
Good morning, everyone. So again, we continue to have great participation in the employee recognition program. March was a great month. We're seeing our numbers increase considerably in terms of the number of individuals who are nominated for both the Bronze Key and the Silver Wheel. So for the month of March, in our Bond Hill and Queensgate maintenance facilities, we had Derod Sams and Tony Ligori. Our leadership employee of the month is Mark McEwen, who's out of our access facility and doing a great job there. We're moving on to operators, and we had access, again, nominated Curtis Gibson, who you just saw on a previous slide. He is well known in the access facility and recognized for his contributions and how positive he is with the customers. We have an administrative employee out of our IT division, who is Andy Stetler, and then Queensgate Operator Month, Douglas McCrae. So again, we're seeing great participation with the employee recognition program as it grows throughout the year, leading up to our annual event that we'll have at the beginning of next year. But the employees seem to really be taken to the program, and they're really starting to, we get 30 and 40 Bronze Key nominations each month, and we have nominations for each of the 4 categories that we have ongoing. So we're really excited about the program. Employees seem to be really excited about being able to recognize one another on a regular ongoing basis. Thank you, that's it.
Thank you, Adrian. It's great stuff. Now back to Brandy for a few more highlights regarding the Easy Fare app and the upcoming National Bike to Work Day.
Yeah, so I alluded to this earlier in my previous slide, but we're excited to share that the Transit with Easy Fare app that we launched just here a couple years ago has now celebrated 500,000 rides in the app. And so as we continue to promote that as a safe way to travel and pay your fare and an easy way to pay your fare, plan your trip, and track your trip in real time, this is certainly becoming the app of choice among our customers. So this is certainly a great milestone. We share this app with 13 other transit systems throughout Ohio as well as Kentucky and Michigan. So here in our region, it is us, Butler County RTA, and Tank. And so you can just use one app to travel across multiple systems. So we're really excited for this milestone.
Hey, Brandy, thanks for that. Is there a way for us to tell what percentage of rides are taken with the app as opposed to paid on the bus or paid in a different form?
I believe we do have that information. I don't have it with me right now. I have to follow up with our fare department to get that breakdown. But we do calculate, who pays with fare, who pays with cash on board the fare box, as well as the app, so we can get those numbers.
Yeah, Brendan, we'll pull that in the meeting on Tuesday. We'll make sure we mention that.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it seems to me that in the long run, that the objective should be to get more and more people to do this. And so perhaps, somewhere in a KPI someplace, it's, you can get to 50%, 70%, whatever it might be.
One of the huge benefits of using the app is you don't have to interact with the fare box. So boarding is much quicker. And then once we get the readers on, that will even speed things up even more. So it is our goal to continue to increase the app usage. We'll pull that information and make sure you all have it.
Yeah, and I am excited to say that during 2020, we actually doubled the number of people who were using it. So we definitely are seeing some good traction, and it is certainly one of our top efforts to promote this app and keep the word out there, encouraging people to sign on to it. So it is doing very well. And then May is Bike Month. So on May 21st, anyone who loads up their bike on the bike rack can get a free ride on Metro. We're doing this in partnership with Tank and BCRTA. And we've also sponsored Tri-State Trails. They are having a Breakfast on the Bridge event on May 21st. And so we're happy to partner with them to promote the benefits of biking and riding. So look for us during this event. And if you like to bike and ride, we'd love to see you on board. Thank you.
Okay, I have to jump in here too because for the first time, I'm embarrassed to say it, for the first time I put my bike on the front of a bus, and it was a great experience. I was super freaked out. I watched because I was, I have the anxiety that it would have been my inability to figure out how to work the system that would have caused a bunch of people to be late. But it was really easy, and there's a YouTube video on the Metro website, which is fantastic. And as I told Daryl, I was headed home and I missed the 17. And as I was driving, getting ready to ride up Vine Street, which is no fun, Jerry, the driver who I told Daryl about, who was driving 1509, was awesome and figured out a way to help me get onto his bus, which was a 78, which took me right up to Clifton. It was fantastic. So it was all in all a great experience. The bus was in great shape, and that bike system was fantastic. So, and I was just here in the last month, the first time we're back to be able to talk about it. It was an example of this team, just great service and great support.
Thank you for sharing that, Brendan.
How many of the bikes fit on each bike rack?
There are 2 bike racks on each bus. And if you have a bike that folds, some people have where the tire fold in, you can bring those on board. You just have to tuck it within your seating space. But the bike rack holds 2 bikes at a time.
Thank you, Brandy. One last piece of good news. Last weekend, as part of the mass vaccination efforts, rides were free system-wide. As another reminder, the 4th weekend of May, the 22nd and 23rd, rides will be free across our system. So we're doing our part to remind everybody to stay safe, get your shots, and take Metro to get where you need to go to get vaccinated. Mr. Chairman, that's about as much good news as I can cram into one PowerPoint presentation. There you have it.
Well, you're setting the standard, and we expect the same next month. So, good work, great media, great events. Congratulations to all the award recipients. And I just wanted to highlight the mechanical service interruptions. Maybe not as showy, but it's really important because that is providing the service and not having interruptions to the service. That is getting people where they have to go without a problem. And so I like seeing those numbers go up, and I hope they continue to go up as we work on our fleet. And good work to all the maintenance staff and everybody who's working on that. So thank you.
I have a question on that. What do you all attribute this record-setting numbers to? What's different now that you're able to break this record here?
Well, a big factor is the investment in the fleet, right? Reducing that average fleet age. We went a few years there, 2017, where we didn't have any new buses on the property. 2016, we only had a handful of those single-door buses that we use on express routes. So the fleet age is a big factor as well, but also targeting repeat failures, right? Work orders or repairs where the bus keeps coming back. Targeting that as an effort to fix the problem when the bus is in, right? Taking more of a holistic approach, not just trying something and sending it out on the road. So these efforts, investment in the fleet, keeping up with our preventative maintenance inspections, all part of one big recipe to keep having a more and more reliable fleet.
We are getting more and more into data management. So we're managing by data, and the more you do that, the more improvements that you'll see. But, being able to draw down these grants, being successful in these grants and updating our fleet is a big part of it.
Are we doing anything different with our pre-trip inspections and managing that data?
Not currently, but we do have something coming that we're going to be really excited about. I'm not going to share it just yet, but we've got some exciting things coming for our pre-trip.
Awesome. All right, well, let's move on to the ridership report. Matt Mormon, you're going to take this, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good morning. We'll begin with our fixed route ridership, as we always do. So total ridership for the month of April 2021 was 638,120. That's about 26% lower than forecasted, but it's also up from 572,000 in the month of March. The majority of those rides took place at 624,055 rides, and 14,000 rides were on our express service. And year to date, we're at about 2.1 million rides. That's about 28% lower than our original plan. And the next slide just has the visual of our 2021 ridership compared to both 2020 and 2019. So as you can see, we are slowly but surely headed the right direction. And moving on to our KPIs. So passengers on local service was 11.2. That's 9.5 below KPI of 20.7. Per trip on express was 2.6. And that is about 13.6. KPI of 16.2. The average weekday ridership was 25,351. That's up from the average daily ridership for weekdays in March 1,000. Saturdays averaged about just under 12,000 rides, and Sundays about 8,200 rides. Our total missed trips for the month of April was 1,350. Of those, 1,227 or 91% were due to no operator being available to operate the trip. Metro did operate 98% of all scheduled trips for the month of April. And moving on to access or air transit for the month of April.
Back there real quick, Matt, sorry.
Sure. Yeah, we'll need to talk about that last slide. Brendan, you want to take it away?
That's a pretty steep increase in terms of no operator available. Am I seeing that right?
You are, Brendan. Attendance in the month of April, we had some pretty bad days, had a pretty bad month. Operator absenteeism, north of 20% most days in the month.
What's our? I mean, I don't want to. What's the action plan there to address that? I mean, 20% absenteeism is abysmal.
It certainly is. There are policy changes that are already underway, rule reminders both for operators and staff. As we manage through the pandemic and really get used to this our normal now in terms of staying safe and making sure the work environment is safe, it's also time to get back to normal course, normal policy, normal way of doing business. So we are addressing the absenteeism within the transit ops team in conjunction with the HR department, in terms of making sure that family medical leave is used in an appropriate and certified way. Those are just some of the measures that are already underway to address this recent spike in absenteeism.
We're also doing some pretty drastic things to recruit operators, to increase our operator count. Adrian will be doing a presentation at the Planning and Ops meeting next month to talk about some of the things that we're doing to attract and retain operators, which we also believe will help this problem we're having.
Have we seen any spikes like this in the past, years past? Has this occurred before, or is this a new phenomenon?
Nothing like this.
Nothing like.
One of the things I will tell you, Tank recently just cut service because they're having some of the same issues with hiring and things like that. So they recently cut service because they were struggling to get their service out on the street as well. So they cut service to manage to the number of hours that they have. We are dedicated to having the correct number of operators, solving this issue of absenteeism, so that we are ready for the end of May when we start all of our new services.
Do you have to make adjustments to scheduling to deal with something like this? Scheduling more extra board standby drivers to cover call-offs and no-shows?
We'll certainly be able to do that May 30th when CPS is out of school. That frees up a lot more operators for show-up and that standby staff. While we will have about the same amount of hours on the street as we do now for the summer schedule versus right now during the school year, the actual job assignments, the times the bus is actually leaving the garage, will be down 20%. So we're very hopeful that that has a positive impact on the number of operators needed. So that should mesh well with these attendance trends that we're seeing.
So, just to follow up, we have shortage, hiring, retention that we need to focus on. We have attendance, the call-offs and no-shows, and then we have kind of operational things we can do to address missed trips like that. Is there anything else that needs to be focused on, broad categories?
Everything we can do to hire operators.
Okay.
Hire.
Board members, are there any other questions on this?
I do have one quick question. Do we have a breakdown of these numbers? I mean, I'm curious what the breakdown is between call-offs and no-shows, if we have that.
We do have that and be happy to share it with the board.
Thank you.
So the notion is a call-off, somebody calls in, they're scheduled to work, and they say, I can't make it today for whatever reason. and then a no-show, they just don't show up to work. They don't call in, and that increases the operational consequences when there's no call, no show, because you have to scramble to find a place. Just for board members who still learning some of these things.
20% is a big number.
Yeah. One other question on the ridership numbers. So we see the fixed route go up from 400,000 in February to 620. I just look at the chart in April, and looking at years past, we then do see a decline in the summer. Is that due to CPS ridership? Is that something we'd anticipate in the next couple of months?
That is correct.
Okay.
This year, though, the city will be running the additional service, so it will should have a positive effect on our ridership this summer.
I'm interested to see how those lines match up or diverge. Thank you. Gwen, did you have something?
I was just going to ask, have there been any discussion with the union about this delay, about this call in and not showing up and absentee report?
Constantly.
What's the consequence?
Okay.
What's the consequence for absenteeism?
Yes.
There's progressive discipline scales depending on the policy. Sterner steps taken in a progressive fashion. Unfortunately, eventually that can result in discharge.
Do we know how far it's going?
But also with COVID protocol, as you know, if you've been around someone that's tested positive, you're not allowed to come to work for 10 days.
Yeah, that was my comment. The COVID restrictions would cause that. I guess I'm trying to get to, is there any support from the union in terms of some of the policies or actions that you need to take?
There has been, yes, in terms of returning to our normal way of enforcing these policies and absenteeism standards. Yes, support from ATU. They recognize that this is a problem that we need to jointly address.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I think we're at access ridership.
Yep, so just finish up these last two slides. So total access ridership for the month was 10,233. That's about 11.9% below the original forecast. 9,584 of those rides took place on weekdays, 367 on Saturdays, and 282 on Sundays. And year-to-date, access has logged just about 34,000 rides. And then our final slide is similar to the fixed route side, just the comparison of access ridership in 2021 as compared to both 2020 and 2019. And that concludes the report. If there are any questions, happy to answer.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Give a moment to any other questions from the board members. If not, we'll move on to the one action item we have for today. So a proposed resolution for multifunction devices. And I think this means printer copier devices for our operations. And I think Pat Goodwin's going to take the presentation here and walk us through this procurement.
Yes. Yes. Good morning. This is approval of a resolution authorizing the CEO or CFO to execute a 6-year contract with Donald McCarthy on behalf of SORTA not to exceed $207,724. And the expenditure will be funded with local funds. The contract covers the purchase, maintenance, support, and consumables, excluding paper, for 6 years of 19 multifunction devices, and those serve our printing, copying, scanning, and fax. They're your big machines that sit across all of our divisions, corporate offices, and access for general operational use as well as general business purposes. There's a procurement summary attached, and we have it's a 5% DBE goal associated with this procurement. Any questions?
I've got a question on that DBE goal, if I could.
Sure.
When you say a 5% goal, do I take that to mean that Gold Tech of Ohio is going to get 5% of this contract? Is that what that means? Or that's like the highest amount that they would?
I believe it depends on execution of the deliverables associated with it. So it depends on the maintenance, the performance. Procurement could speak to that better than I. But they're available for at least 5% of the contract. And it's based upon all kinds of service from installation as well as the service and support. I think it'll depend upon the performance of the contract across the sequence.
Okay, thank you.
So we're purchasing devices as opposed to leasing.
Yes, actually, the procurement entailed an analysis of both purchase versus lease. So of the 11 vendors that participated, they proposed it both ways, and we saw anywhere from a 5% financial advantage to buy versus lease. To be honest, going into this, I would have thought lease would have been the way to go with these type of devices. But that's kind of why we run through the procurement process. It turned out very advantageous to us to actually procure the devices versus leasing.
Patrick, Larry Thompson, is there a maintenance agreement included in this contract?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a 6-year maintenance agreement that includes all maintenance, support. We have SLAs around response and on-site support, as well as the caveat that if they can't fix it in a reasonable time, they give us a loaner, and if they can't fix it, they replace the device.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Any further questions? If not, we can entertain a motion to approve or move it on to the full board for approval.
Motion to accept for approval.
Thank you very much. Can I have a second? Second. Thank you. Probably moved and seconded. One last chance for questions, concerns. None. Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Say right. Any abstentions? Right. So I think that passes to move on. And I think that concludes our agenda items. I think we have the opportunity to introduce new business. Anybody have new business they'd like to introduce?
Blake, before you move on, want to add it to the consent agenda?
I had a question about that. Does it matter if we only have one item?
You can still move into the consent agenda or not. It's up to you.
It depends on if you want to have a conversation about it, or you just want to move it to the consent agenda to approve on the consent agenda, or if you'd like another.
My gut would be that we move it to a consent agenda item, but and if there's any objections to that from any of the board members, please let us know. All right, and of course, always pull it off the consent agenda in the board meeting and get a presentation on that. And if anything does come up, or if you see any concerns that you want to discuss next week. So, thank you, Chanel. Please put it in the consent agenda. All right. Hearing no new business, so I move to our next meeting is June 8th for the Ops Committee, but we do have a full board meeting next week, so I will see you all then. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Take care.